What's up guys, Benji here. We have Paul, and what did you do?
Second after Swiss, and then got bombed in top cut by Tri Brigade at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Extravaganza at Adelaide, GGA Adelaide.
And what did you play?
Dogmatika, Despia, Invoked, Shaddoll. I think that's all the engines.
DDD's nuts.
DDIS,
Yeah.
something like that.
Up, rest of the deck.
Alrighty. Alright, so we'll start with the D for Despia. So let's
Flip them up.
turn them around.
Yeah,
turn them around.
sick.
I always make that mistake. It's stupid.
You go for
So-
155 each. Two, would you do play set for 5?
We'll just do it after the deck profile. Yeah.
Right, so 2 Alaba, the Jester of Despia. This thing is absolutely mad, but you don't really want to see it that often. That's why there's only 2. You want to see it when it's time to see it. Opening it's okay on the condition you didn't open Alistair, but the fact that the card just keeps coming back is amazing, and targeted negate because your opponent moved a fusion is pretty sick too. Whoops. 1 Dramaturge, 1 Tragedy. Tragedy I didn't see all day, but it searches that when you send it to the graveyard by card effect, so that's good.
Yeah.
And Dramaturge was just bonkers.
So was there ever a line where you would search the tragedy, or not really?
There is a bit of a funky one where you can, where if you immediately fusion summon with it, but you haven't normal summoned, you haven't got Alistair or something like that, then Tragedy can get Alaba. Then that can be your normal summon, so you can get a field spell, whichever. But there's almost no reason to do so. Unless Schisms evolve, because if you banish it with the Schisms effect, then you get another search off of that.
Right, okay, yeah.
Free search off of window is never a bad thing. And Dramaturge is basically, what's the name of the ghost girl? It's Mortar and Movement Chill.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically that. Summon from extra, you get to negate a card. Ecclesia and Fleur, we all know what they do.
Yeah.
One of each. Alistair, best card in the deck, eats every hand trap in the game because they have to.
Yep.
The Shaddoll package is actually comparatively small. It's only 1 Beast, 1 Hedgehog, 1 Squamata, 1 Wendy, 1 Dragon, 1 Aerial. I find that this is basically all you need because Schism does most of your fusion summoning for you, and by the time you've burned all 6 of these through fusion summons, you're out of fusion monsters anyway.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
doesn't come up. I didn't miss having doubles of everything, it was just fine. You just have to be more careful with how you play them. Hand traps, I only mained 6 monster based ones. So that's triple behave yourself. Triple Veiler, triple Ash.
Yeah, the standard.
They're just generically good. But there are some matchups where Ash becomes significantly worse, but it's good against
It's
good
a safe
against
hand trap,
everything,
it's
but
good.
great against
Yeah.
nothing. It's a bit weird. My spicy card, which a lot of people in America are doing at the moment, is 1 Golden Lord.
Alrighty. Explain
So
this one.
if you're going second, you bust this out when you play the Shaddoll Fusion, and if it resolves, that's your light target. And then for the rest of the game, unless your opponent specifically starts aiming for this thing, for the rest of the game, if you get surplus Shaddoll cards or the fusions, you run out of the fusions, this just comes back every turn as a 3,500 beat stick. It didn't really do much for me today for the grind, but it did let me push for OTKs very frequently because it's just another free 3,500.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got no problem giving up Magical Meltdown if Golden Lord comes out and suddenly you're doing 8,600 instead of 8,600 minus 35. You just win games you have no business winning, and it's great when that happens. Spells, Meltdown, need it. Invocation, need it. Shaddoll Fusion, best card in the deck by far. If this resolves,
Always know, yeah.
Basically
A classic.
branded opening, your discard searcher / emergency teleport that doesn't actually discard for cost.
So this triggers Shaddolls.
It triggers all of
Yeah,
them, yes.
that's pretty nice.
And there was a couple of occasions where I discarded Golden Lord to do the search for this, and then you bust out Queritus. Queritus makes everything 0, and then Golden Lord comes down and there's like 7k damage for no reason. And its protection effect is really good too. Despia the Theatre, it's literally Polymerization, except it has to make level 8 or higher, which is Construct, Queritus, Proscenium, Mechaba if it comes up, which I doubt. And then if non-fusion fairies die, the level 8's fusions from the graveyard start coming back from the graveyard. So this lets you summon Mechaba like 5 times in one game, or Construct more often than you deserve to. Can't do Winder, but that's okay because Construct is good too.
Yeah, well, Construct basically gets you a Winder anyway, right?
Construct is Winder. 3 Nadir because Nadir is Nadir.
Getting slapped.
Yeah. Super Poly because Super Poly is unfair as hell.
Yeah, no, that deck's pretty insane. That card's pretty insane, this deck.
Absolutely.
Sorry, yeah.
It's absolutely the reason this deck can go second, or one of the many, but because I have such a horrible time winning dice rolls, I decided to play this deck because I don't win dice rolls, because it can go first, but it can go second.
Yeah, well, I had a funny story with that one. I had a guy, I was playing against this deck as well, and I had a guy super poly my Dragoon and my Utopic Draco feature in one of his guys for his boss monster.
Oofed.
So that was pretty good.
Probably Proscenion if I think about it.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
1 light, 1 dark, and a Despia.
Yeah, that's Proscenion. That's rude, but super poly, man.
Yeah, that's it, dude. Yeah, couldn't respond. So.
And the hilarious thing about having your board super poly is if the field spell is floating around, you basically build your entire board as it was. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
You have Queritus, you have Dramaturge, they do their thing, and if your opponent super polys them away and the field spell is out, they both hit the table again.
Oh wow.
Because Dramaturge was the non-fusion fairy that left the field, so the field spell sees it and brings the fusion back, brings back the Queritus, and then because Dramaturge was used as fusion material, it comes back. And then, because Queritus was sent to the graveyard by the opponent's effect, it summons Aliber, and you're basically right back where you started.
Wow. Very nice.
So, the field spell's also an out super poly, which is hilarious. 1 called by, because called by is called by.
Very good card, yes.
Very, very good. Only 2 traps, 1 schism, and 1 punishment. If I'm pronouncing this incorrect, I don't know if it's schism or schism.
I believe you.
I think it's schism, but I don't know. Whatever.
But yeah, no, both
this
solid
good Shaddoll card.
Yes, good Shaddoll trap.
Yep. Punishment didn't come up very often today, but
it's just another target for Dog, right? If you draw the punishment in the Ecclesia, you're fine. If you draw the fluid,
and if you're in deep expletive deleted, if you're in deep trouble, punishment can often be enough to get you out of it. If it sends at Cologne, it definitely is enough to get you out of it. Extra deck. 2 Construct, because Construct is Construct. 2 Winder, because Winder is Winder. Like, this is 90% of the reason you win.
I figure you probably shouldn't be going any more than 2 of each of these in a game anyway, right?
No, because the deck gets real tight. Like,
yeah.
While I was building this, the deck, the extra deck, I was chopping and changing what was in the extra deck like 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9 times, just trying to figure out what should be in it. But it was only ever 1 card at a time, so I had to really be careful. I couldn't just I don't need these 3. No, it's 1 card. And you guys might hate me for the card I decided to leave out because it's yeah. So the 1-up Cologne, only 1-up Cologne because of how tight it is, but you barely summoned it anyway. Like, if this gets Schism, it's done its job.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and if you didn't get Schism, then your opponent had to use a negate to stop you from getting Schism, which is fine because Construct can do the job for you anyway. So, 2 Mechaba. I always play 2 Mechaba. No one can make me play 1 unless the ban list says so. 1 Orgalides, because Orgalides is great. 1 Caliga. The idea was to basically put this next to Winder, and then moving both is a pain. And there is rare occasions where you can go Mechaba, Winder, and Caliga, and
History repeats itself. This is exactly what Shaddoll Invoked did when it first became a thing.
Except now you can make Despias as well.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Except you're doing it without cross sheet in this deck.
Exactly, yeah.
It's harder to do, but more punishing if you do it, because Extravaganza does not like this card.
No, I can't imagine a lot of
Fractal
decks
can deal
do.
with it no problem, but Fractal's the only one who can.
Gotta have it.
Queritus is dumb. It's just a attack point erase that floats into a Despia when it's sent to the graveyard. It's your opponent's fault, but it's like 0 attack on everything. It's amazing. And like when you make everything 0 and then Golden Lord appears, win. 1 Proskenion, because this card ridiculously breaks Super Poly like never before because you played the Despias. Like you can legitimately go like Despian Tragedy, stick it in front of like Dragoon and like Herald of Ultimateness, Super Poly shatter the entire board and then take their Dragoon for yourself, and then you win because you have burn damage upon negate, card's amazing. Entus, I've seen some people cutting this. I somewhat agree with the reasons as to why people cut it, because like space and stuff, it's just every now, like you might only use it like once or twice a tournament, but you'll be glad when you did.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like you won't miss it if you decide to take it out, but when you do leave it in, you're glad it's there. 1 Mud Dragon is a Super Poly target because Drytron can suck it. Among other things, like it's good against a lot of things. And then Artemis Vert, because you need the light for Alistair, and there's something about having any 2 monsters be Super Poly that's just gorgeous.
Well, yeah, not only that, but you can make Winder with that as well, right?
Oh, Winder, Construct,
nice.
yeah, absolutely.
Like if you're in a tight spot. You can just use the extra deck monsters they have less, send Shaddoll Fusion and just go off.
Yeah, it's extremely easy to just like have 2 monsters on the field that aren't really doing anything, but your opponent has an extra deck monster that's doing bugger all as well. And you just go, Vert, Shaddoll Fusion, Construct, suddenly everything is happy.
And what was the card that we weren't playing?
I did miss Starving Venom.
Yes.
Because there were a lot of decks where Starving Venom was like good against, and there was one particular game where I actually did need it, but I managed to win that game anyway by outing the board in a slightly different way. So I did miss Starving Venom, and there was a couple of other, like I was toying with the idea of playing Raijin as well. And the card that's not here that a lot of Shaddoll players do play is Gravity Controller.
Yeah.
And like the last tournament that I played and all the testing that I did in the lead up, I just didn't summon it. So I figured, let's see what happens if I don't play it. And it was one of those cases where I missed it, but not really. Like there were a couple of times where I really could have done with Gravity Controller, but at the same time, leaving the construct face up also put in work. So it's like, I mean, but I get why it's in there. I just spent so long not playing the card while it was in that I just decided, no, you know what, I'm cutting it.
Yeah, well, I guess like it's only good if your hand's bad, and if your hand's bad, you're not playing anyway.
It's good it's good if your literal only play is Invocation for Construct, basically. But you end on a schism if you do that, so it's fine.
Yeah, good enough. Yeah.
So
let's see the side deck.
Triple Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah, the Rock.
Triple the Rock. Nibiru, I believe, is in a bit of a funny place at the moment because it's like combo is good, but you're playing Winder, so combo is not good. And the decks that you're generally the most scared of, Nibiru can't touch. So it's in a bit of a weird spot, but on the odd occasion, you'll have the Nibiru going second and your opponent will overextend and then you'll just crack him in half with this. And you're playing Shaddoll, you have 1,000,001 ways to move this. And my favourite way is Queritus, because the token can have 11,000 attack points 1 minute and 0 the next.
Yes.
That's very always entertaining when that happens. And then Golden Lord kicks the crit up. 3 Droll for the Drytron matchup I didn't have. I don't think anyone here played Drytron, actually.
Look, funny enough, I didn't play any meta decks all day, so I believe it.
And I saw you on table 4 at around like 3 or 4 or something like that, so it's like...
the meta decks I played was literally just 2 Shaddoll. So it's like, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think there were 3 of us and 2 of us first and second. It was fantastic. Shadows for life. 3 Cosmic Cyclone and Harpies. You need to move Imperial Order, and this card never moved Imperial Order because I never had it when they Cosmic Cyclone. But I did manage to steal a win by blind hitting a Solid Strike with this.
Ooh.
So that was lucky, and Harpies is Harpies, but I don't think I saw it all day. I have 2 more copies of Harpies, Lightning Storm.
Yeah, right.
So it's good against the back row decks. It's also reasonably okay against Tri-Brigade because it forces them to use the Revolt early, but it also moves all the strikes.
Yes.
And then dealing with Appaloosa is not too bad.
Well, not only that, but if you feel like maybe you can't deal with Appaloosa, but you can play through Revolt, you just get rid of Appaloosa.
Absolutely, because they're not going to have Appaloosa in defense because they.
Yeah, if only.
The other thing you can do with this, it's tricky to do, admittedly. You pay attention to what your opponent is doing when they go full combo, and if they're silly enough to just leave everything in attack position, then it's Raigeki. So. But it's really tricky to do because a lot of the, especially the higher tier players, don't play into Lightning Storm. So it's a bit hit and miss for that strategy because the people that you're generally doing it to.
I know, it's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the reason people will fall for it is because if you're playing this card against a deck that does combo monsters, you're probably not siding this card in any way.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a bit of a mind game there, I guess.
It is a mind game, and then the one time that they forget that it's a card, they pay for it. And yeah, paying for it is great. For me, anyway. And triple impermanent aside. This was Forbidden Droplet, but I found that Droplet's cost was a bit heavy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it was either Forbidden Droplet, Dark Ruler No More, or this.
Well, your cards all seem to play off each other anyway, so if you had the Droplet and you had the cards to ditch with it, you're probably just playing anyway, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like Droplet's discard cost can be a little bit heavy at times. Like, sure, to negate one card, you might only have to give up one card, but you also might not be able to afford to lose it. Dark Ruler No More, it's not a problem. Like, you can play Dark Ruler No More, just negate your entire board, and then just be like, oh, move, die, whatever. But Imperm, I felt, had more just out-and-out utility. And
after turn 1, this card becomes a lot better than all the other hand traps as well.
It does, yeah. Like, if you play Dark Ruler No More, crack your opponent's board, but you have more than one Dark Ruler No More, it's dead. Generally, I mean, I have Golden Lord, so no, it's not. And the Imperm has the same utility as that, whereas you could give it up for Golden Lord if you don't need the Imperm. But there are certain cases, like especially in a Tri-Brigade matchup where the game state is simplified, where Imperm is a lifesaver because if they just rip off the top, summon Fractal or summon like Keras or whatever, any of the Tri-Brigades,
exactly,
and they use the
you
effect,
can keep them off
turn over. And unlike Forbidden Droplet, it didn't cost you anything to do that, but it's like turn over, and then you have a chance now. Like if you move the Fractal, you're good now. Yeah, that's it. And
anything you could think you could change?
Oh, Jesus.
Anything that stood out, I guess.
Well, in hindsight, I would lose the Droll and Lockbirds because Drytron wasn't present.
Yeah, no, fair. I mean, you can't really.
Even though they weren't here, you can't afford to not prepare for it.
No, it's the same. I had Droll in my side deck, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
It was there for just in case.
I mean, I'm absolutely not going to say the deck is perfect because no deck is.
No, that's it.
Like you'll see those people doing the deck profiles online, and they'll absolutely say, "I think the deck was perfect," but I guarantee you next event they change something.
Yeah, well, it's the natural progression of things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So it's
like it all depends on the day as well.
Yeah, and it's like
you probably had
today,
a game plan in mind.
Absolutely, and for today, I will say the deck. I won't say it was perfect because I did, like I said, I missed Starving Venom, and because Drytron didn't show up, Droll literally didn't see any play. I didn't decide it ever.
Do you have an idea what maybe the replacement for Droll would be in the side?
It'd be Lancia.
Lancia?
Lancia,
okay, yeah.
because 4 of my 7 matchups were against decks that Lancia does hurt. So it would absolutely have been Lancia.
Yeah, understandable.
And I might swap the Lightning Stormers for Phantasme. Like,
Okay, yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people say they like Phantasme as well. So.
yeah, it's mainly because Phantasme can just move Appaloosa. Just because. Just go battle phase, get out of the way, Appaloosa, and they have to burn the Revolt to move the Phantasme to keep the Appo, and yeah.
Yeah.
But then now you can play Shaddoll Fusion without worry unless they have Ash. So it's like. So yeah, that is the Dog, Despia, Invoked, Shaddoll, Eldritch.
Awesome. And do you have any shout-outs?
Shoutouts to Nikija Collectibles. We'll use Carbon to Fit 5 for the 5% off code.
Okay, yeah.
Shout out.
Carbon to Fit
There is
5.
also Zarbon 5,
Gaming 5.
Gaming 5. There's another one.
Well, I'll just shout out my boy Hurst 5, HURST. That's my boy Yellow Heart. He also streams.
Yep.
But yeah, any other codes are also good, right? Like just
Yeah.
support your boy Nikija. That's the main thing, right?
Yep. Also, shoutouts to my boys, Team Excite.
Very nice. Very nice.
We're probably not up there with Nikija yet, but we are making appearances.
Hey, yeah, no, that's it. Always see a few of you guys around. So
Nikija were the targets. I can honestly say that I'm at least making him think about it.
Yo, yeah, no, for sure. That's it. Make him sweat, dude.
Make him sweat a bit, yeah. And yeah, just shout outs to basically the Adelaide Yu-Gi-Oh community as a whole as well, because like we are the biggest locals on the planet.
Yeah, that's it.
And
suck it, guys.
yeah. And if I'm missing anybody, I apologise.
No worries. We'll
Shout outs to Golden Lord because
there we go. Shout outs to your
Golden
boy
Lord
Eldritch.
was MVP. I honestly think Golden Lord was the MVP.
I like it for sure. All right, man. Well, thank you for the deck profile.
No worries.